like somebody who has
Good morning, dear Dharma brothers and sisters. Welcome to our Thursday, our part 3 question-answer discussion meditation. We will begin this morning with our yellow Garchin Institute prayer book on page 1. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from sorrow and may they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine, By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the Supreme Mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratishta Swaha. Namo. To the Guru, the utter purity of all appearance and existence, I offer all appearance and existence arisen as the primordial ground. I supplicate you, may the three realms be completely liberated. Please grant blessings to empty samsara from its depths. Lord, with 5 omniscient wisdoms, crown ornament, kind one with loving nature, precious protector of beings, heart of all Buddhas, inexpressible by words or thought, I supplicate you from the core of my mind. Bless me from within the state of Dharmata. Bless me to realize this mind, primordially pure and unborn, as the unfathomable Dharmakaya. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles and the teachings common to both, according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Good morning, dear friends, Dharma friends. Okay, nice to see you all. And whenever we have opportunity to Dharma discourse, and Dharma teaching, Dharma listening, and Dharma chanting, and all these are over auspicious. That means over precious human life. So first, I would like to ask that last time I asked to practice analytical meditation. So can you share your experience? When you start to share your experience, can you tell me your name? Thank you. So everybody can hear my question? Oh, the last time we said I said the what is that? Oh, here. If the enemy, your own anger, is not tamed, subduing outer enemies will not make them subduing outer enemies will only make them increase. Therefore, subdue your own mind with the army of love and compassion. So, can you share your experience?
My name is Shauna, and I don't know if I understand analytical meditation very when
Subduing outer enemies will only make them increase. Therefore, subdue your own mind with.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So after the last teaching, I meditated on precious human birth. And so So what my experience was to, when I meditate, I go through my opening prayers, and then I sit in what I would describe as a space, feels like a wide open space. And so I tried to just sit in that space with appreciation for having a human birth, and to sort of feel what that felt like. And then when I started to find myself thinking a lot about it, I just tried to let go of those thoughts and tried to just be with that. And my experience with that was I just felt a lot of love in my heart. And I really realized, I think the most profound part for me is I realized like how much I doubt my experiences, and how I don't want to do that anymore, because like I don't know how much time I have left here. I want to believe my experiences, and I want to really dive in with them and trust them and trust what comes up and what I think I'm learning. And if it's wrong, I'll relearn or whatever.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shana. And next.
Okay, so like specific to what you just read from the 37 practices of the Bodhisattva, I reflected on that, and I concluded that that violence brings more violence. And what came to mind was an experience that I had once where I was driving in a car and I cut somebody off, and the person was very angry, and so they were honking the horn, throwing their hands in the air, yelling some stuff. They drove up beside me, and I remained calm, and I looked at them and I smiled and I blew him a kiss. And the guy stopped and he smiled and he slowed down and he went back behind me. So it was like a way to like subdue like all that crazy outside, but it was my internal state that just reflected that was able to, if I would have reacted angry and I would have went with it, then it would have been.
Thank.
Anyways, that's my.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, can you hear me, Tenzin?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, hi. I'm gonna take this off. I'd like to hear myself. My name's Brian, and I had been I'd been meditating on point number 20 in the 37 practices, and theoretically, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that. I can understand it. I can see how it could be. I can see how it might not be, but mostly how it could be. And then I walked into the living room where my family watches a certain news network program, which goes against everything I stand for morally and ethically. But nevertheless, that's their prerogative and their right to watch that stuff. Anyway, and I got to a point when I just started like refuting everything that the person on the television was saying. I was refuting it, and all it did was create more, let's say, more angst in the room, and it really didn't solve anything other than like it says it made my outer enemies perceived, but yeah, enemies just made them increase. It's just like the more I was trying to subdue what was going on around me outside of me, it seemed as though it just created more garbage. And so I guess what I'm saying is I have a real reality check with that, where if I just kind of turn into my own mind and subdue tame my own mind regarding all that, it seems to make things a lot more pleasant, I guess, for everyone. I still don't agree with it, but I'm not so I don't feel so much animosity and and anger, yelling at a television. Come on, really? It doesn't help anything. It makes my little mother and her husband upset. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next.
Hello, Khenpo Tenzin. Hi, I'm Lydia. Well, you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear? Okay,
Yes.
good. Well, my experience is just remind me Bodhisattva and love and compassion always, and subdue my anger. And yeah, that's basically the army, the army of love, where you feel some kind of people maybe angry at you or a situation where it's angry. So just remember love, compassion, and bodhicitta. That's my experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you. Thank you for share your, before you share this answer, you tell us your name, okay? It's important to keep in mind everybody's mind. Thank you. And next.
Hello, Khenpo. This is Jay from Arizona. I'm doing Lam Rim with another group. So I'm doing a lot of analytical meditation. And did I not unmute myself? Oh, I did. Okay. So the interesting thing is that is the movement from control to guidance, and how much how much freeing that is, and how much more realistic and real that is. So that's my experience currently.
Can you hear me? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Hello? Oh, you're good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next.
I think we are all one, so be angry on someone else is be angry yourself. And I'm Saskia, I'm from Holland. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's your Siska, right? Is your name Siska?
Saskia.
Saskia. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. And next. Yes.
My name is Eleanor, and I dug out my book and reread the 37 verses. It led to a whole lot of questions, and I've got, when you get to the part where, not specific to this, but they led from this to that. It's hard to get your head, for me anyway, my head wrapped around all mother sentient beings, and yet emotionally, it's easier to feel sometimes, you know, and I look at my garden and the dragonflies and bumblebees and, you know, animals and birds and squirrels. It's just mind-boggling for me anyway to think that each blade of grass at some point in eons before was my mother. I just found that incredibly profound. That's all.
Thank you very much. Can you repeat your name? I can see the sub corner.
Oh, Eleanor.
Eleanor. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you. Eleanor. Oh, yes. And next. I'll call out your name. I see some your names. Rocco?
I'm sorry, but I'm not so good in English. I cannot share anything.
Oh,
Also, I am a little bit shy.
oh, thank you very much. It's okay too. And Elia, don't have confidence the pronounce name exactly. That's where would like to listen your name. Ella, thank you.
And coincidentally, and sorry if I'm shouting, I'm not very good on the computers, but my name is Eleanor. My full name is Eleanor too, so that's a nice coincidence. And I'm really nervous and anxious as well. So, and I don't know what the question is either, but I just wanted to say hello. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And some Dharma friends, if you would like to only listen and be quiet, it's okay. But just now I'm not sure who would like to being silently. So that's where I ask, and then next I will not ask you. So don't worry. They're fine. We are flexible, and then I would like to call how to your name spelling the pronounce Trisha, right? Trisha. Yes.
Is it me that you're talking to, or somebody else?
You. Yes, you are.
Oh, okay, because I can't see myself on the screen. Hold on, just one sec. So I've got a couple of things that I'd like to mention, if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
And then I'll talk about the verse. One thing I wanted to mention, because I've suffered terribly my whole adult life that I can remember of social phobia. So like many who have mentioned, they're terrified to talk. So my heart is racing right now as I speak, but I think this will be helpful for others. So I wanted to mention some options. If you'd like to share something, we have a chat bar here. So if you want to type something in, then we can read what you want to share, which is really nice. Then you can still be part of the sharing without speaking on screen. And then the other option is to speak on screen without your picture. I find that helps sometimes because I'm very scared to talk. So I hope that's helpful. And if you need somebody to read the comments out, if somebody can't, I can read them out. I can do that if that's helpful. And then about the verse number 20, just a little thing that I'll say is that I find that the gurus are always speaking to me. The guru, always speaking to me. So if I try to subdue anything, then more comes up, you know? It's like the guru is trying to speak to me to wake me up. So, you know, so I don't know if that makes sense, but I know this to be true in my life. That's all I'll share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trisha, right? Trisha.
Yeah, Trish.
Trish, thank you very much.
And I'm from BC. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Holly?
Hi. So in thinking about this verse, at first I was thinking, well, I don't really, you know, I'm lucky in that I'm pretty good at sort of keeping my emotions fairly stable and not harboring a lot of anger or grudges towards people. But then I was thinking, well, you know, on a day-to-day level, I certainly do just like have these little flashes of irritation or like, you know, judgment. And that's certainly, you know, a kind of aggression, right? Like, for instance, an organization that I do some volunteering with, there was a situation this week where someone was supposed to provide me with some information so that I could communicate it to our community, and they weren't getting me the information. And I was really I wasn't feeling angry, but I was feeling irritation. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I was thinking, sort of going back to this verse and trying to sort of dig into that feeling a little bit, and, you know, understanding that my anger was really coming from, in some part, my own insecurities about, you know, what are people going to, if I don't get this out by a certain time, like, what are people going to think about me? But then also I fought that by just thinking about my colleague and the incredible amount of wisdom and experience that she had to offer, and knowing myself that she is someone who struggles with depression and other kinds of, like, that basically we all have these things that get in our way, these, you know, insecurities, and really trying to see in her both her vulnerability and her wisdom, and sort of dealing with my own reaction in that way. So I guess that's I don't know if I sort of answered your question coherently enough. So if you need me to say more, I'm happy to do so, but that's what I have for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Shihab, right? Can you hear me?
Hello, Khenpo. Yes. I've been practicing the 37 Bodhisattva practices. I've been memorizing them. Very like good for emotion and to settle down. And I find it very, very, very good for the mind. I had like a question I wanted to ask about cultivating the means to help others. So I find this how to meditate into this particular thought, like how to help others, because it's difficult, and you have to have the means in order to show. If you want to help, you have to have the means in order to show that. So just that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Martha?
Hi, hello.
Hello.
My name is Mirta.
Oh, Mirta.
Mirta, I'm from Croatia. Well, in my experience, I think it's very, very hard to do the actual practice in that moment when anger or some other afflictive emotions arise, especially strong ones. I try to, when I notice myself getting angry, or I try to just be aware and and breathe. And for me, what helps is putting my attention in my belly. And actually, what is most helpful amongst the practices I've tried is Oma, Hung, mantra, and breathing. So this is what I try to breathe with my attention to my belly and put the focus on my body. Yes.
Thank
and
you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. If I call, I read it's. I see like Sonal. Is it?
Yes, Sonia.
Sonia.
From Bolivia. From Bolivia. Khenpo, I thank you very much. And I wanted to ask you a question about the four thoughts that separate you from samsara and brings you to practice of Dharma. You said last session, the 2nd of March, that you mentioned that it's convenient to practice these four thoughts at the beginning of the practice. And you said first, I don't remember which one was of the four thoughts first, but I wanted to ask you about the order. Should we practice that in a specific order? And is there a reason for that order in case that's the case? Thank you, Khenpo.
Oh, you are so welcome. Yes, of course, there is some reason. This reason is it support next practice. For example, first we understand the precious human life, how it is precious, and through we learn through we practice through examples, numbers, and then through instructions, and then we observe, we meditate, we contemplate, and then we have a very strong and very nice feeling arise in our minds. And then we understood, oh, this is a real precious human life. That moment is like we are loving it, and we anyhow we don't like to waste this precious human life. And then we think, oh, this is still impermanence. It is impermanent. Then we can more effort. We can more effort to practice with this precious human life. This and then we but the impermanence, it does not mean like the candle light blow off, right? Blow out by wind. But the impermanent means it is related cause and effect, cause and result. That's why then we more practice on karma, cause and effect. But then we will practice on cause and effect. Still, we have a strong kind of I don't know if I use this like a loyalty in samsara or something. Kind of we have a strong desires in the samsara activities. That's where sometimes we are lose our practice. That's where we have to renunciation of samsara, defect of samsara. Then we more efforts. We almost like automatically effort to practice. That's where the four thoughts order is like that, order or something. Thank you very much.
you, Khenpo.
And then I did not name some of you. But that I will ask someone who's I can see your face, so I can ask you if you would like to share your experience. Then, or can I ask? Yeah, today let me ask everybody, okay, this question, and then so I asked Johol. I did ask you already. Oh, Jel. Yeah, we already Dharma friends, but let me say this. This is better to say. It's a kind of Tibetan habits. I'm not sure this is Tibetan culture. We don't ask name. We spend for quite a long time, and we spend same place or same area, but we don't ask names. That's why I have this habit. And then I have many Dharma friends. I did not ask them their name often. That's why internally I really respect, I love our Dharma friends, and the face is very easy to come in my mind. It very easy to keep in my mind. But that's where it's Dharma friends and my mind. It's inseparable. But the name, I did not ask name. I did not use name often. That's where it's quite challenge to me. But I'm going to progress. That I know that is my responsibility. So if I don't call your name or I don't use name sometimes, please let you remember what I shared right now. So sometimes the name, I have one problem is that I know some name, but I can't pronounce exactly that name. Then it seems I'm quite hard to call like mispronounce, call you through mispronounce. That's why I have later this. Anyhow, I will take this responsibility, and I will try to use your name often, and sometimes I happened like that. Please be patient, and thank you very much, everybody. And then, Goli, would you share your experience?
Sure, Khenpo.
Yeah.
My experience with this verse is that like I often will have a misperception, like I will feel anger towards someone, and then in my mind they become like a bad person or like somehow negative in their activities, and then that creates like a barrier between me and them. So then my negativity will cause them to be more negative, and then it just grows more and more and more. But if I correct the misperception with love and compassion and understanding, then however they appear on the outside or whatever they do, it doesn't create like a bad feeling in me, because
thank you very much. And make, right? MCM. Would you share or would you be probably we ask Paulina, Pauline, Pauline,
Sorry, you
or
call my name?
yes.
Sorry, I'm listening and working at the same time. I'm sorry. Would you want me to share my experience in?
Yeah, if you have time now, it's very very nice to hear your experience with that.
Can you repeat the question again? Because I'm sorry, I joined a little bit late. You would like to share to have us share the experience in meditation or in what circumstances?
All right, this is about the 37 practice, page number 23, but it's number stanza 20 stanzas, and then these it says, if the enemy your own anger is not tamed, subduing outer enemies will only make them increase. Therefore subdue your own mind with the army of love and compassion. This is not only your analyze in this recently, but in your life. You can share any time.
Yes, yes. So there's a lot of examples at work because I'm working with many different people, and one of my coworkers, she's really aggressive. Before I knew her personal story of her life, I felt like I'm being dismissed, or I am the victim of her anger or upset, and I tend to separate myself from her, stay away from her, and avoid the conversation, avoid at all time, if I could. If I could have other people, if I need to bring up something, if I have other people bring it up to her, then I would. So I avoid her completely. I try to. But then as I got closer with the relationship, and she shared with me her personal story, not with intention for me to understand her. She just want to share. So she somehow she had the trust in me, or she want to share because she had really bad relationship with her ex-husband, and she had to take medicine for one of her depression symptoms, and she had to pay how here in America, when the couple live for too long and after separation, depend on the income, the spouse would have to pay for the other, and she had to do that for her husband. And she had to raise her own child. So understand all of that, I realized that her anger is just her expression of what she experienced herself, not about me, not toward me, and not with intention. It was really, really bad, but it ended up that I didn't hate her at all. We still in a good relationship. She still did not change a bit, but we still consider a friend. She considered that she would be able to share with me, whenever she want to. We don't have any tension like before, and that I think one of that also because I apply what I've learned in Dharma, and also from Gachin Rinpoche, that use compassion and love toward people, and it changed. That's how it changed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And any okay, there are any? Would you share something?
I have.
think, when I reflect on my own anger, it's an experience that traps me within my own mind, the thoughts in my own mind. And it can be it can be a very vicious cycle to continue to be stuck in that frame of thinking. And it doesn't allow me to properly address the situation externally, because I struggle with it internally. And so it is like the Dharma says, it is very much a practice of remembering that the flip side of that is the mirror-like wisdom. And so to try to connect to that wisdom is still very difficult when you're trapped in your own anger. But to continue to try to remember the Dharma of that being a mirror-like wisdom and see the state of mind, it's just a practice. I mean, honestly, it's my experience is that it's an ongoing practice, and it's just a practice. And sometimes it just takes a long time to calm down, but really, I think with that practice of watching your own mind, and like in the Samantabhadra or Kudanzampo prayer, to just try to watch it as a thought and stay in that natural state of mind. And that's like a really esoteric thing to say, or very hard thing to say, easy thing to say, hard thing to practice when the vrittis, the thoughts are so strong. So it's just it's a constant remembering of the Dharma and a constant practice. This is just the experience, and it's always, I'm still in this body, so it's still happening, and so it's just more and more and more in practice.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh yes. So now I will, for my side also, I reflect on there, contemplate on there, contemplated these. I don't have particularly external enemies, because I don't have enemy externally. It's quite hard to image one person and then that friend's friend or that family and so on. But internally, I will notice that if I anger in some case or someone, and then if I don't care that my angry emotion, then this angry will become a source of another angry, because that if I keep that anger, then slowly that anger becomes resentment. If that anger becomes resentment, then my angry getting stronger gets stronger and stronger. That means then my enemy become powerful. So then one time if I try to conquer this anger emotion, then it's very difficult to conquer. So enemy is exist inside, not outside. Externally, if we have one enemy, and then of course if we use a harsh word or we start to fight or something, and then that person's family or family member or friends, or then they slowly, very very possible they all become my enemies. But then internally, if I arise my anger today, then I have one enemy today. If I arise that anger tomorrow, then I have another enemy tomorrow. So that's where then my enemies increase. So internally like that. So that, and then in other ways, the anger is really unhealthy emotion in our body. So that's what I thought. And so now I will listen your question. So when you ask a question, please, you raise the hand and I call your name. And then it will be easy.
Did you mean me?
Yes, Eleanor.
Yeah. Before I get to the question, I would just like to offer this, because anger is so hard to deal with. And about 4 years ago, I read it's about Manjushri, the Nectar of Manjushri's speech. And there's a wonderful chapter in there about anger that blew me away. I mean, it took me over 6 months to get my head wrapped around it. But it talked about how anger is just a coming together or a confluence of multiple things. And we're all made up of multiple things in multiple ways. But if you sit down and put yourself in a meditative state or just thoughtful state, and you can see all the pieces that go into making up that particular anger or feeling that you're making, if you can find one string and change that, then you've changed the conditions for the anger to exist, and it will change. And this is the wonderfulness of the concept of impermanence, which is so profound. It's like beyond words, but it takes a lot to see that. We're all here because we're sets of conditions. That's why the precious human life, I am just realizing, is so precious. But the anger that we've all talked about today, if you can just see the pieces that make up the conditions for that anger and then change one of them, impermanence will help you with the rest of it. Or it has me. That's been my experience of it. It just one little thread, and it changes such that then maybe you can get another little thread to follow. But it does, in my experience, it does work. Anger is just a coming together of a lot of different reasons and conditions about why you're angry.
Thank you.
That's what I wanted to share. Is this a time to ask a question, or should I wait?
You ask a question. Thank you very much.
last week I asked you a question about the central channel and the chakras. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about that or meditating about it. And I have two questions. I don't know if they have answers or not. And they're sort of related. And one question is, could you talk for a couple of minutes on the relationship or the relationships of the characters? I mean, I know all the Buddhas do everything, except they each have their own specialty. But I don't quite get yet or understand the relationship of a Buddha to a Yidam, or a Yidam to a Buddha, or a Yidam to a Dakini, or a Daka to a Yidam, or a Dakini to a Buddha, or an attendant to whoever. So if you could unravel that. And then if Buddha nature is in all of us, okay, and in everything, then what you said about the Yidams, if the Yidams have Dharmakaya in them, like the Buddhas are all Dharmakaya, I mean, all these characters that we learn about, they all have Dharmakaya. But we also, as humans, have Dharmakaya in us, I'm sorry. I get nervous. This Dharmakaya, if the Yidams are living in our chakras, and if we would be blessed enough to get the chakras to fire or vibrate or something, you know, with our breath, would we get to experience a taste of Dharmakaya? I mean, is that, I guess the question is that how you do it, or one method of how to do it? But what's the relationship there? What's the relationship to the profound feeling with the breath and vibrations that I don't know what to do with?
Yes. First, I try to make a simple example. Dharmakaya, Dakas and Dakini, Yidam deities, they are same person. Like my mother, for example. When my mother, of course, she deeply loved me. She takes care of me. Then, if I show her some misbehavior, if I made some mistakes, at that time she shows me wrathful, wrathful actions, like her words is pretty short and a little strong, like don't do like that. And some, maybe she pick up me the place and she put another seating or some chair or something. Or it's possible a little bit pull my ear. listen carefully, like that. It's possible. My mother does it often to me. Kind of this way, the wrathful deities are like that. And actually, I never did that. But for example, if I drink cigarette and something, cigarette, right? And then my mother is be as Dakas and Dakinis, and then she protect me from there. For example, if my friends who drink used a cigarette, if I go with him or her, and then my mother possible to separate with that my friends, and she possible scold me for the sake of protect. This is like Dakas and Dakinis. And then when she is not angry, and I'm doing well, and then she peacefully keep me, hold me on her lap or her arms. She take care of me and she maybe kiss me or whatever, peacefully doing. These are like peaceful activities, the peaceful Yidam deities. And then Dharmakaya means her love, her blood, bones, flesh, everything's dissolve love to her child. For example, for me, she loves for me. So something like this is the why I make this example, because Dharmakaya, Yidam deities, and Dhaka and Dakini is usually same. But we are quite hard to introduce through this way, especially the new practitioners. Even though some are practicing for quite long, but still we have to say in different ways. So that's where Dharmakaya is Dharmakaya is non-duality. There's no colorless, formless, activities less activities, no activities. But the energy potential of this, the Dharmakaya, they appears Yidam deities. Like in the rainbows appear in the sky, in the space. So, and then when we don't realize the Dharmakaya, then we are practiced through Sambhogakayas. Sambhogakaya means the Yidam deities are Sambhogakaya. So we are practicing with them, and then we established them, and then we try to reach in Dharmakaya stage. But the way of this practice, when we try to establish these Yidam deities, still we have many other obstacles. For instance, external obstacles and internal obstacles. So we try to liberate from these obstacles. That's where we need a protector. These are Dhakas and Dakinis. They help us. They help us. When we practice the Dharma, they help us. How do they help us? They help us to remove obstacles of the Dharma practice. And then they try to support us to Dharma practice. But they, if only everything depending cause and condition. So cause means karma. So that's where we are going to purify ourselves. But conditions are some obstacles of conditions. Then the these Dhakas and Dhakinis, they can remove. They can purify, something like that. That's where in the relative truth, there are three responsibilities, three of them.
What are they? What are the three?
So three are Dharmakaya and Yidam deities and Dhakas and Dhakinis. So three of them have different responsibilities. Dhakas and Dhakinis' responsibility is help us the way of our practice. And then Yidam deities, their responsibility is when we practice them, they need to give us siddhis. Siddhi means benefit. Benefit means we establish them. Because in our mind, the realization increase. That is the best siddhi. In our mind arise bodhicitta, compassion. They are the best siddhis. So they help us that. And then Dharmakaya responsibility is to let us dissolve inside, like a salt dissolve in the ocean. So similarly, our mind will dissolve in Dharmakaya.
Okay.
If if you it's good, very good question. And when some part letter unclear, you write notes, and then we can discuss more. And then now we offer other. Okay.
Thank you.
So welcome. Rachel.
Hello, thank you. You mentioned in the lecture that we should have no time for meaningless activities. So I tend to see that life itself is the practice. So what recommendations would you provide to us to transform everyday worldly activities into meaningful activities that integrate spiritual practice?
Yes, the meaningless activities is actually in our mind has bodhicitta and compassion. Then all the activities are actually virtues. But then in the meaningless activity means, for instance, right now we have, for example, here we have golden opportunity to Dhamma discuss. So, for example, answers are Dharma teachings, so it benefit a lot of Dharma friends. Questions are Dharma teaching, it makes a great benefit for Dharma friends, like that. And then these are not meaningless activities, right? And then other thing, meaningless activity means, for example, now we have kind of this opportunity, but we don't try to keep this opportunity. Instead, we go to some mountainside to kill animals, or we steal other things, something like that. These things are meaningless activities. But then step by step, there are some different levels. That the highest level is then we meditate in non-dual, and we realize non-duality, but still we need compassion and bodhicitta. And then there are other ways, for example, as we are doing now, and this, and also then doing retreat or doing many practices, they are not meaningless. And then, for example, another meaningless is I stay here, I actually come here for help Dharma friends as much as possible. But if my mind is transformed into the worldly activities, I try to become famous. My mind, if I have nothing, any compassion, bodhicitta in my mind, only I expect to be famous or some. If I have like that, then this is also anyhow my mind is related worldly activities. The speech is Dharma, body is in the Dharma practice path of Dharma practice, but my mind is still the mundane activities. So still there are lots of examples. Yeah.
So can you give an example then of, like, say for us lay people, where worldly activity that we can actually transform into a meaningful activity, make it part of our spiritual practice. It's part of like how we have to live. Here.
Yes, this is actually the For example, you drive a car. You drive a car for just go somewhere for enjoy, and but at that time you don't have some good motivation. You just go somewhere for just being enjoy. That is including like meaningless activities. And then also there, if you have 1 hour to participate the Dharma activities, including Dharma meditation and so on, but you have that opportunity. If you take this opportunity, still you have that opportunity, but instead you just wandering somewhere, and maybe you just stay in front of sun, drink tea or something like that. They are also including the including meaningless activities. But you stay and drink tea outside for compassionately, and you arise bodhicitta and so on, then it is not meaningless activities. So everything very much depending your motivation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, next. Easy. Easy.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, easy. Oh yes.
Okay. I wanted to know, I have 4 things to say. First thing, is Green Tara a deity and a Dakini, or is she just a deity?
Is Tara is Dakini or
Green Tara.
Oh, she is deity. Yes, she is deity.
She's never serves as a Dakini.
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. They are also as during the IT taught the refuge. So everything's are also how to say. We say kuncho kundu. Kundu means everything include with one protector, one refuge. That's where Green Tara can be Dakini. Green Tara can be Yidam deity.
Okay. And then Achi, she's just a Dakini. Achi.
Achi?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Achi, we practice through her as Dakini, yes. But she also has higher realizations, and she is the manifestation of Tara, actually. But right now, her responsibility is as Dakini, yes.
Okay. And then my third thing is I don't know how to work this camera on this device. I follow all the instructions. My picture never comes up. So call on people who don't have a face either also. And then the last thing is someone was asking how you bring the practice into your daily life. And I know it's not good to make recommendations, but one of the things I do is I use the 4 measurables. So when I go shopping or I'm walking down the street, I say the 4 measurables to everyone. And then one day I was with Garchen and I noticed he was doing it with the birds and the dogs and all kinds of sentient beings I never even thought of. So then you can do it for that too. If you see just walking around the street, it's just one way, and then whenever you eat, offer your food is another way. And I thought of third way, but I can't remember it. So, and that's it.
Belly can help this question. How my daily practice? Or?
I was talking about how, you know, bringing the practice off the cushion into your daily life. But another thing that I did naturally without even thinking, when I did the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, I did it more off the cushion than I did on it. I mean, I just constantly was thinking about the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So I don't know. I just recommendations.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. She was actually commenting on my question. Thank you so much.
Yes, this in the 4 thoughts, the 4 thoughts, right?
The 4 measurables.
4
I
immeasurable.
think I made a mistake. I say those like when I go outside. I say it to all the sentient beings. I only use one.
Oh,
line.
yes. Amazing.
That's the way you can.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's wonderful practice. 4 immeasurable is a so important practice, and as you mentioned, and it's the when you are working or walking or wherever you any kind of your activities, you can be mindful in the 4 immeasurables. If you can't be mindful all of them at the same time, but step by step, immeasurable love, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable joy, immeasurable equanimity. So these are very important, and these immeasurable love, the practice of immeasurable love, it helps our mind getting vast and vast, like a space, because we often think all mother thinking beings. When we think one person, for example, I think by myself, and then my mind is getting very small, very small. But if I think all mother thinking beings, at the same time, my mind, it's automatically become like a space. So then, if our mind become like a space, and then the small sufferings cannot challenge, because they cannot affect. I mean, in the space it has lots of different things, like fires, wind, and waters, something like that, but they cannot affect space. Similarly, temporary the sufferings cannot affect, cannot destroy our mind. That's where it's very important. And then immeasurable joy is very important. In psychology, in the way of psychology, or in the practice of psychology, for example, if we have immeasurable joy, it is a very healthy method, because we see others' beauty, others' healthy, others' virtuous, others' merit, lots of good things we often see. At that moment, if we rejoice them instead of jealous, instead of malicious thoughts, instead of covetousness, something like that, if we project rejoice, and then this is a very healthy mind. If we have a healthy mind, then we can be healthy body too. And then the immeasurable compassion. This is when we see those mother thinking beings, whoever suffers, when we see it is similar, is suffer ourselves, ourselves, and we have a strong feeling which is to liberate them. We really love to liberate from their sufferings. And then at that time we forgot ourselves. I forgot I. Whenever I forget I, then we can relax. In the daytime and the nighttime, they are different to the relax, because in the daytime we stay on the very nice chair, so physically we don't work, but in the mind, the thoughts is so busy as a bee, so that's why we're still tired. But in the night time we sleeping, so that's where that moment our ego little bit, the ego's power little reduce. That's where we are more relaxed in the night. So when we have compassion, then it's like we say forget, but anyhow at that moment the power of ego reduce. That's where it's it has great benefit to ourselves. Then immeasurable equanimity, that is Buddha's number one of quality. Buddha, somebody he did good thing or somebody harms him, he look equally. He share his compassion equally. He share his bodhicitta equally. He share his knowledge equally. So equality is very important. Whenever so I rejoiced that practice, and thank you very much for share. And yeah.
Thank you. Very enlightening. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Okay. Next. Oh.
So Sears, who doesn't have a microphone, wants to ask, can I do Vajrasattva and prostrations without empowerment or initiation? I've been doing these purification practices.
Yeah, these without empowerment still can do. That's the question, right?
Yeah, the Vajrasattva practice and prostrations for purification.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, before this, receive this empowerment and these higher teachings, really we have to the practice prostration and Vajrasattva's. These are extremely important. Extremely. But I will tell how important and how to do. Soon I will teach on there. At that time, if you have time to listen, I hope you will. You have the time to listen that how important these preliminary practices are, how important, and how benefit. This is very important, right? So, absolutely, you can do that. Okay, next. Yes.
Me?
Yeah, Shana.
Thank you. So my question is about sort of the step-by-step approach to practicing and to developing my understanding. And it's been more an experiential experience for me. And so along with the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, and as I understood it, like that's very important for the foundation of other practices like Dogen and other things that we learn. A prayer that I say like before I go to sleep and then first thing in the morning when I wake up is, and I get nervous, so I kind of have to read it even though I say it all the time. Just as the Buddhas of the past embraced the awakened attitude of mind, and through the precepts of the Bodhisattva, step by step, abode and trained, just so, I too will embrace the awakened attitude of mind, and through the precepts of the Bodhisattva, step by step, I will abide and train myself. And so my question is, like to really, I say that, but I don't know if I really know what is the step by step. It sounds very precise and that there's very much a progression. And I would just like to have a little bit more understanding about that progression.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I often use that step by step. That is how important. For example, we all learners of English, actually learners. I mean, you already knows. But for me, I am the English language is my second language. So how much I effort to learn on there, how much I spend time that, but still my English is anyhow. I have these problems, the pronunciation, spelling, or some and the vocabularies and so on. So that means you guys learn English since you were a child, and then you come to the college, like a higher school, and then university, then you graduated. That's where you have no problem about English. For me, I just come. Sometimes I read very Dharma book in English, and sometimes I learn some kind of from the lower part, something like that. So it's very similar. Everything's well accomplished step by step. That's where Buddha, he also gives teaching step by step. First, he taught about some part. He said, don't do that, don't do this. He just simply practice. He also practiced simply, and he taught simply. And then he come, and then he taught about the Mahayana part, and then people reached on there, and then he started to teach Vajrayana. So that's where then his followers, his sanghas, accomplished successfully. That's why this is very important. But anyhow, whenever we have these steps, but our practitioners sometimes hard to do that. So if really we want to make benefit, and we want to benefit to sanghas, we should lead them step by step. Then they receive benefit. So that's where our Dharma practitioners comes step by step. So we often said 3 excellent things, which are refuge and bodhicitta, and then main practice, and then dedication. This is briefly kind of steps, briefly steps, right? But we come little more details. Then we come through the these preliminary practice, and then the vows, and then these Buddhist chittas, and then we practice on the the higher views. So this is very important. All practitioners did that. For example, Milarepa did that, Marpa did that, and other lineages masters, or they did like that. And then we come through the Dzogchen teachings. They also comes step by step, and Mahamudra and everywhere. So this is very important. So keep going through this way. This is very important. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes. Metta.
Thank you. Can you please say more about bringing desire onto the path? For I've noticed more and more this underlying desire that is cause of my anger or whatever affliction arises. And yes, so could you please talk more about that? How to, what is the medicine? And if I notice in the moment my desire, if I recognize it, then what medicine to use in that moment?
Yes. Desire is actually quite a gentle feeling, but it is serious. So we have to know faults of desire. Not only desire, when we give up, we want to purify something. First, we notice. We need to understand their faults. So the desire is actually cause of greed, and also cause of jealousy. Also, it will cause of anger. So desire is always, even though practitioners don't criticize to desire that much, but in the reality, desire is really cause of lots of problems. So we need to know. And the number one is, for example, if you love one person, for example, and then somebody love that person, and then the jealousy arise in the mind. Because of this is the reason is your the desire. And so then if we lost something because of impermanence, we cannot practice well on impermanence because of desire. Desire always support to the grasping, and grasping always support to desire too. That's why the desire make lots of sufferings. For example, if you lost some good things and good opportunities, then you are very unhappy because of desire. And then still there are many methods to know faults of desire. But then how to bring on the practice? Then this is it's depending the object of your desire. If you are your desire is towards someone, like someone, in that time the best method is you transform your desire into bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means love. You transform that into love. Desire and love are little similar. Not same, of course. One is virtue, another one is non-virtue. But they are very similar. That's where it's quite easy to transform into bodhicitta. When you, for example, you love, your desire arises from your mind on one person, for example, and then you acknowledge that, oh, this is my desire. You should acknowledge that. And then second, in the first time you think, oh, I don't want to follow that's my desire, this desire. If I follow this desire, then it leads in the wrong way, wrong path, because then it makes suffering my mind. So that's where then what should you do is, okay, I cannot reject that person because of my desire. So then I project my love, bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is, may this person always get golden opportunity of meditation, reflecting in Dharma, and may that person get a good job, may that person get good things. You think like that, at that time your desire automatically transform into your bodhicitta. And then the highest way is you think, highest way means may that person become the Buddha in this life, something like that. So you always think whenever you arise this desire from your mind, you should think you have two responsibilities. One is you acknowledge that. Second is you don't follow that. You don't follow that. This is very important. And then if you would like to meditate on there, then desire is also inherently not exist. Just it is emptiness. If you cannot figure that out, but this is impermanent. Today you have desire with someone, tomorrow may not have. Even though not tomorrow, 1 hour later, if you are angry at that person, then your desire disappears. Where is my desire? You cannot find, right? So impermanence means then this, if this desire is impermanent. For that reason, it betray you. Because this is impermanent, momentarily arises in your mind, momentarily disappears. So then you notice that. But if you really cannot control your emotion, and then the monks use the monastics has one method, that is when you have desire towards one person, and then you observe that person's body, skin, bone. Where am I desiring? Only skin, and then you observe more detailedly. It's big illusory. This is big illusory. If you love someone, they say you drink my blood, you cannot drink. They say you drink my urine, you can't. And they say, even though you please clean my what is called poop or shit, right? You can't do. You can't do. But then, without examining, without the analyze, you just fully in desire. So that's where then you think, wow. You observe one by one from the skin, flesh, bone, especially inside organs. So that's why then it can reduce. It can reduce your desire. So be mindful. This is the best method. Always, any kind of emotion arise. For example, bodhicitta arises in the mind. Acknowledge, oh, this is bodhicitta, so this is precious things. I have to promote this. If other emotions arise, and you notice, oh, this is my anger, so I don't let it increase because it harms me. So calm down, push down, and something like that. There are okay. Yes.
So what if what you desire is God, or to experience and unite with God for the benefit of others? And what if that is your desire and you see that in others? Is that virtuous or non-virtuous?
Oh, yes. Desire is, right now I can say desire is non-virtue, but it is depending your level of practice. How do you know this? Desire control you, that means your desire is afflictive emotion. So you should give up. If you control your desire, at that moment that desire is not afflictive emotion. But that is a very higher level of practice. For instance, if you really don't want to give up that desire, then you should transform that desire into bliss. B-L-I-S-S, bliss, right? That means you can control that desire. So then that moment this desire become the part of your happiness. Part of means this is become happiness. So then, but it's like alcohol. If you drink alcohol, if you become drunker, that means you cannot control that alcohol. That's why it's better to avoid, better to stop to drink alcohol, because you drive a car and you, so it will become cause of lots of obstacles. But if you it's alcohol becomes like a water, how many times you drink, it's nothing to any bad effects. That means you can control that. So anyhow, desire is if you come very higher levels. This part we will come in to teach. I will teach another time, another steps in this teaching series. But right now, I think we all try to conquer desire with this method. I already shared it. Probably this is better, but I cannot judge you. So you notice, right? You all notice your feeling and how it is going. Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Yes. Leda?
Hi, Khenpo Tenzin. Hi. Hi again. Yes, I have a small question. Could you explain me what is the lower tantra initiation?
What is lower?
Lower tantra initiation.
Oh, lower tantra initiation.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Lower tantra is there is actually. I will answer briefly, but I will teach definitely on them. I will teach in the rest of this teaching series. Actually, 4 tantras. One is we called it the action tantra. Action tantra means we have to make for example, we should be like a very sensitive. That means we have to clean the mandalas and bowls, even though where we use Ramaru, where we use bell and something like that. We have lots of rules and regulations. And then at that time, for example, before we practice, we have to clean, and even though clean our body, and then clean the temple, lots of things we have to clean. We call it the action tantra. Action tantra, and then these when you practice them at that time, you should still need some follow the exactly rules and the regulations. There are many rules and the regulations, and then now I am quite hard to bring one example, but whenever you practice, it is a deal with the gurus tells you like a clean and many rules and regulations. These are actually a lower tantra practice, but sometimes we have combined first tantra and second we are combined. So that's where the lower tantra is like that. Are you clear? I know not 100% because
Well, I find a Kritish Garba practice. I found a Kritish Garba Bodhisattva practice. And I find it very interesting at this time because a lot of people dying from coronavirus, a lot of people don't have jobs, have a very difficulties. So I start to practice, and one part of the practice says, if you haven't received the lower tantra initiation, you cannot visualize yourself as Bodhisattva Kritisgarba. Instead, visualize Bodhisattva Kritisgarba enter in your forehead, in your middle of your forehead, and then visualize light and the light, and that's what it says here.
all right, you are right. You are right.
Let's just speak in mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you say.
With your eyebrows and bless your speech, body and mind, and that's basically what it says.
All right, this part you are right. This part actually in the this part is actually in the kind of a philosophical subject we have like that. This is sometimes a little bit debatable debate. For example, this is the lower tantra. Right now we use lower tantra, but actually the action tantra, sometimes they don't have self visualizations. And oneself is, that is we call the king and the servant, like a servant. Oneself being like a servant, right? Servant who serve to king, and then the wisdom being, and they are like kings. That means you cannot become union, and you should think you are ordinary. That's where you keep more clean and those things, right? You are ordinary person, and then yidam deities, these wisdom beings are very higher. So then through this way you are practice, and then last end of this sadhana, sometimes they have no I don't mean this conclusion, but there's some other part. It's almost like we invited yidam deities, but we don't say let you go now. I practiced, I accomplished something like that, but I will make clear when I will teach on there. But you are right that.
Okay, thank you, Khenpo Tenzin.
You are so welcome. Thank you. Oh, this question, right? Okay. Anyone? Yes. Jehol? Jehol, can you hear me?
Oh, I think that's me. Is that me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, hi. It's Jay Darshan.
Jay,
Oh, gosh.
please.
It's me. It's Jay Khenpo. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, really.
No. That's both of us. Both of us today.
Thank you very much. Your patience.
This one may be it may be longer than what we have. So if you short answer would be fine. Longer answer next week. So the open heart seems to have the sensation of sadness or sorrow. is there another label for that sensation?
For cessation.
For the, yeah, it has the texture or the, I mean, people talk about feeling, but I don't talk feelings so much as I talk sensations. But there seems to be and it's not a heaviness, but there's a sorrow or sadness when the heart's open. That is a label. That's a label that's put on that sensation. So I'm wondering if there's another label for the sensation of an open heart, for what that feels like. Yeah, and Holly said something about tenderness, and in tenderness may be part of it, but it's more than just tenderness, because tenderness is a touch one. Yeah, if just melancholy, that might be close. This helps. The other people, tranquility might be one of them. But the open heart is different. Let's put it that way. Let's put it this way. Here, this will make it nice and black and white. The open heart is much different and feels, the sensation of the open heart is much different than the closed heart.
Yes, the sensation is, we use these words during the truth, like a Four Noble Truth, and the truth of ultimate truth and relative truth, right? And then the actually open heart is, as I earlier mentioned about that, sometimes we said the experiences are very important. So that means they become open-minded because they experienced good situations, and they experienced some bad experience. So that it's big difference between someone really experienced or someone who does not experience. And then but the sensation is actually we talk in the path. So this is especially during the refuge. We said the Dharma has two classifications, which are path and sensation. The sensation is a result of path. Path means Dharma practice. So for example, I practice Dharma, and then, for example, I practice bodhicitta. Then the opposite of bodhicitta is malicious thoughts or covetousness. They are opposite of bodhicitta. That's where the practicing of bodhicitta, this action is a path. But then result is this practice provide prevent to arise malicious thoughts, and covetousness thoughts. So this is we call sensation, right? So it prevents negative thoughts. So that's we call the sensation. But then this sensation will increase. Sometimes we say Dharma is the principal refuge, which means through Dharma practice, we achieve Dharmakaya. So that means this is sensation. The first level of sensation is for prevent negative thoughts. And sometimes it is antidote of emotions. But then slowly this sensation increases, and then this sensation become Dharmakaya. And then at that time we don't call it Dharmakaya, but it's Dharmakaya and the sensation is same. This is the way of Mahayana practice, how to explain about that. And then there's also in this Tibetan Buddhism, they identify sensation is permanent. It's a little complicated. Permanent. So permanent is temporary permanent. It's not impermanent as it's not changing in quickly. It will not change. It is not changing in quickly, but it will change, even though it is including impermanence. But with in the philosophy terms, sometimes we say it is permanent. So that's where someone actually maybe no, I make confused to you, but someone said, oh, sensation is a real over refuge, object of over refuge, because this is permanent. They said that, but in the Mahayana way of over practice, Mahayana or in the real practice, main practice, if we have that we identify the sensation is permanent, then still we have a dualistic mind, dualistic perception. Whenever we have a dualistic perception, we cannot liberate. So yes, we will talk more. Yeah. If not clear, oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, we will talk more actually. Very nice. Okay. I deeply rejoice and thank you very much, all of you. And still, I will use your wonderful names, and then we will become very easy to Dhamma discuss. And then see you next or Tuesday. Thank you very much. Chancho sem joy rainbow je ma je banan ji je je ba nyan ba mi ba ya con de be ba jo.
May Bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Oh, one thing, I already taught about the precious human life and impermanence. So if you get time to analyze in the 37 practice this page number 7 and verses number 4, there is family and long-term companions well apart from each other, possessions gained with effort will be left behind, consciousness a guest will leave the guest house of the body, let go of all bodily concerns. This is the way of Bodhisattva. That one, and then yeah, we will contemplate on there. Okay, I think there's oh, here number 4, page number 4 and verses number 1. It says, having no gain this great ship of freedom and fortune, so difficult to find, in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of a cyclic existence, listen, reflecting, and meditate day and night without distraction. This is the way of Bodhisattva. These 2 verses, if you get time to analyze, we will discuss more about this, and then we will discuss any of your questions. Thank you very much.